Hey everybody, hello to all of the P.I.M.O JWs, ex-JWs, non-JWs, and Jehovah's Witnesses, because I know you are watching. This is Mackie P.I.M.O JW Jones, and this video is geared toward the Jehovah's Witnesses out of all of them, which a lot of my videos are. And this is a disclaimer. This is going to talk about a mature subject. We're going to be talking about sex. So if you have children in the room, and if you don't feel comfortable for them listening, then go ahead and put your if you have your phone, put your headphones on, or just leave them out the room, or take them to another room, or whatever. Okay? Or if you just don't feel comfortable talking about this particular subject, just go ahead and click off. Okay? Because we gonna get mature up in here. All right. Speaking of maturity, it seems like Jehovah's Witnesses are never comfortable talking about this subject, because we are taught that sex is only between two married people. So it's almost as if you don't figure out what sex is until after you get married. Like, you know what I mean? But we know in reality, this is not the case. Okay? It's Jehovah's Witnesses that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, and they still feel uncomfortable. They still feel embarrassed. Ooh, I see deer. That's why I'm driving slow. But they still feel embarrassed to talk about sex, even at that age. So if you grew up a Jehovah's Witness, it seems like whenever they talk about sex, the only good way that they talk about it is, it's between two married people. But any way else, they say it's evil, they say it's a sin, they say it's gross, they say it's, And so these children, when they grow up to be adolescents and they start having these feelings, they start feeling like complete sinners when they start having those sexual feelings, right? And it's just sad because a lot of Jehovah's Witness parents don't talk about sex with their kids. They don't talk about, at least, people who are non-JWs, at least if kids are starting to ask about it, the birds and the bees, the whole birds and the bees talk. I really didn't have that conversation with my parents at all. At all. My mother figured, hey, the way that they talk about sex at the Kingdom Hall is all the sex ed you need. Now, she wasn't against me taking a sex ed class in school. She allowed me to do that. I think you're supposed to have permission from the parent before taking a sex ed class nowadays, I believe. I don't know. But she wasn't against me taking a sex ed class. But a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are against their children taking a sex ed class in school, because they believe that the way that the schools teach about sex ed is immoral. So you got these parents not signing off and going against them talking about sex ed in school, but then they don't want to teach their kids about sex. So where are these kids going to learn about sex from? If they can't talk, if they don't, because if you want to talk about sex to a Jehovah's Witness parent, if you're a Jehovah's Witness child and you want to talk about sex with your Jehovah's Witness parent, most of these parents are going to overreact. Most of these parents are going to get angry. You shouldn't be talking about that kind of stuff. Sex is for married people, and we're not going to be having this conversation. that's not gonna stop their curiosity about it. You know, ain't no end of story and period when it comes to that. You know, like, so where the hell are they gonna get their information from if they don't even feel comfortable talking to their own mother, if they don't even feel comfortable talking to their own father about the subject? You know, and even as grown people, we can't even talk to other grown people freely about sex. You know, you can't talk to your Jehovah's Witness friend freely about, you know, different sexual subjects, because they might go and snitch and run tell that and tell the elders, hey, you know, my friend has been talking about this and that and the third, and I just wanted to bring it out to your attention. You know, you got to be really careful. You can't trust any Jehovah's Witness when it comes to venting to someone, because they're gonna look at you and they're gonna be like, yeah. They're gonna nod and this and that and the third, but then they're gonna hold that information and use it against you, you know, as they deem necessary. So yeah, you can't talk to another Jehovah's Witness friend about sex. You know, I've you know, been surrounded by people who Jehovah's Witnesses who are and then they try to have conversations about it, and it always is like, oh, that's between you and that's between married people. So I don't know about that. I have virgin ears or this and that and the third. You know, so it's just sad. You could be a single person in your 30s or 40s or 50s, feeling uncomfortable talking about sex. I don't believe you should feel uncomfortable talking about sex. You know, that should be a subject that everyone should feel comfortable talking about. Now you don't have to talk about it with everybody in the whole entire universe, but somebody that you can confide in. Joe Winters is now a person you can want to confide in when it comes to that subject. Okay. Anyway, going back to sex education in schools. Okay. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are against it, and then they're also against talking about sex with their children, period. So these kids are going to go elsewhere. They're going to go to Google. And that's where a lot of young people go to learn about sex, because they don't feel comfortable talking to their parents about it. Hell, worldly kids don't feel comfortable talking to their parents about sex. You know, but there are dangers on the internet with kids. You know what I'm saying? They could easily end up on a site that they have no business going on. You know? So please get to them first before the internet does. Get to them first before their friends do, and they give them some sort of misinformation. Or they might be exposed to something too early in their life, when all you could have did was just tell them about it in the first place. You cannot be embarrassed to talk to your kids about sex. Why are you embarrassed to talk to your kids about sex? You know? As if it's a taboo thing. Like, you have children, right? So obviously you know a thing or two about sex, right? You know, you want to act all innocent, like you and your husband or you and your spouse don't have sex. You want your kids to think y'all don't have sex, you know. When these kids get older, they're gonna know. Hello, you know what I'm saying? How did I get here? You know, these kids are gonna start asking these questions. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. So when my child starts asking about it, I'm like, okay, appropriately, you know, with age. You don't want to tell them everything, because then they're gonna, you know, kids are extremely curious. So you don't want to tell them everything, but at least tell them, you know, just what's appropriate for them to know at the particular age that they're in. You know, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. It's like, you know, it's one of those subjects where it's always uncomfortable with Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, because a lot of the topics about sex on JW.org is always negative. You know, except for the whole between a man and a married man and a married woman. That's all. Like all that I ever learned in the 27 years that I was asleep as a Jehovah's Witness, it was always the same thing between two married people, and that's it. You don't need to know nothing until you get married. So it's like, you know, you have two young married couples, because of course they're gonna be young in the Jehovah's Witness organization. They don't have a clue what's going on. They don't have a clue what they doing, and it's just kind of sad. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. If you have children, um, that's up to you. You know, I'm not up here. I'm not no sex ed expert or anything like that. But eventually, they gonna want to know about it. Okay. So, you know what I'm saying? Hey, what have you done? Well, you know, you can answer me in the comments. What did you do when your kids started asking about sex? Did you get offended? Did you get irritated by it, or you know, did you really have a one-on-one conversation? You know, and don't get that's my thing. If I am a parent, I don't want to overreact when it comes to what my kids want to know. You know, because if you overreact, if they ask a question, they'll never ask you another question again. They'll go elsewhere, and then you'll get mad. How come you didn't tell me? I'm like, because you overreact. That's why I don't tell you anything. You know, and that's how my parents were. They overreacted with everything. You don't need to be knowing nothing about that. You know. So, yeah. So anyway, that's all I want to talk about. This is Mackie, P.I.M.O J.W. Jones. Question everything. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to think outside the box, and don't be afraid to do outside research. Love you all, and peace.